Europa Universalis 5 is finally here, or at least it's going to be in a couple of days, so make sure to use my link to get the game for yourself. Would support the channel massively. I really would appreciate it very much if you did use my link. That's basically my main way of making money off of this channel. I'm also collaborating today with Paradox Interactive to bring you the ultimate Byzantium campaign. We're starting from 1337's humble beginnings and we're taking it into the late game, navigating the early disasters and crushing the Ottomans, and ending up with the Little Ice Age, Columbian Exchange, and many other late game situations that you're absolutely gonna enjoy. I am dividing this into a multi-part series just so I can better explain every single part of the campaign. You will find the unlisted parts in the description below, so after you finish watching this, you've got the entire campaign instantly available to watch. If you want to see more EU5 content, I've got a lot more, including a lot of mechanics guides coming up, so make sure to subscribe and leave all notifications on, otherwise YouTube is not going to tell you when these EU5 videos come out. It's been a long time coming, but we're finally here, boys. And in this Byzantine campaign, I will make sure I teach you exactly how to most optimally play the game, and not only that, survive, thrive, and restore the Roman Empire as the Byzantines. First thing I want you to do is go down at the bottom of the screen and we're gonna left click to pin our favorite maps. That way we always have them at the bottom regardless of what happens. So we're gonna go to our diplomatic map because we do have a lot of cores on the coastline of Anatolia as well as in the southern parts of Bulgaria, Serbia, and North Albania. All of this we're gonna reclaim, but the European holdings are not a priority because if we go to the cultural map mode, there's barely any, if any at all, Greeks in these parts. However, in Western Anatolia, it is still above 50% Greeks. In some places, it's even above 90% Greeks. So we want to grab these lands before they become Turks, because within just a few years, the multitude of Beyliks here will most likely convert everything to Turkish. Before we get to that, first thing we do is assign our current research. So we're going to go organized religions, guilds, universal Christianity. These are the first three most important researches. Afterwards, it's a little bit preference based. Just queue up the rest of the technology so you have your initial 9 techs assigned, so you don't need to worry about it for a while. We also have to get a better education for our heir. Now this gentleman here is a 000 4-year-old who is also a child idiot. That is not good. In fact, I really hope the plague pays a little bit of a visit to our quarters. We will give him administrative education, which means that he's gonna have possibly more admin ability. We also need to codify our precious metal distribution. In most cases, the best, most optimal one is regulated exports for the trade efficiency, but considering our situation and how we're not going to make too much off a trade early on in the campaign because of our crown power issues, we're going to go ban on exports. Why are we doing this? Because of the 33% income from minting. We will have to rely on minting in the early phase of the campaign as the Byzantines to survive, and it's pretty bad because we already start with 9% inflation. We also can start a new mission tree, so we're going to go to politics and we're going to go for the cabinet mission first off, which means we got to create a cabinet. And if we go to government and then we switch over country and cabinet, we have 4 cabinet seats. Most countries start with 2 cabinet seats, so how come we start with 4? Very simple. We are empire rank, which means that we get an extra cabinet seat from that. And we also have a unique reform, the Kritai Katholikoi, which gives again another cabinet seat. Returning to cabinet members, the bottom one we will assign to strengthen the government. The next one we're going to assign to stabilize the country. This means that we're going to get an increased our stability and an increase to the legitimacy, both which are vital. We'll get to that in a few moments, why they're vital. The other 2 cabinet seats we're going to assign to integrate province, namely North Macedon or Upper Macedon, which has already 60% integration progress, which means it's only going to take a few years to finish the integration of this province. And the second advisor we're going to assign to increase control in the province of Chalkini, because we've got 2 locations here, Polygyros as well as Cassandreia, which produce gems and gold. That being said, if we hover over the tax in Polygyros, we could potentially get 8.34 ducats from this location alone, but because we only have 22 control, that is reduced by 77%, so we end up getting only 1.88. Same goes for the other location where we are producing gems. In this game, more control allows you to get more out of your provinces. It's basically how autonomy used to be in EU4. If we hover over a province here, we see that only having 20% control means we lose 80% crown power, lose manpower. We have a lowered speed of converting, promoting, and assimilating pops, and levy size is smaller based off of how much control we have. We'll get into how we can increase our control a little bit later. For now, we just have to hire our cabinet members. Right now, it costs 4.41 ducats to hire a cabinet member. It's influenced by a few things such as inflation, the cost of paper in our market. So after we unpause, reality is this is going to go up by a lot. So we want to hire our cabinet members before you unpause. So we're going to go to the economy tab. We're going to click a loan, and then we're going to go back here and we're going to get the best cabinet members available to us. Usually when you click on the seat for the cabinet member, it automatically tells you which cabinet member is best suited for that particular interaction. And what do I mean by that? Well, you see here we've got different icons. We've got the military, we've got the admin, and we also have the diplomatic icon. Based on this icon, you can tell whether that interaction requires diplomatic skill, admin skill, or military skill or ability for your cabinet member. The higher the ability a cabinet member has in that particular field, the better he's going to perform doing that particular interaction. So you might get more monthly development if he has higher admin ability, more monthly societal change if he has a higher diplomatic ability, and so on. Very straightforward, and you actually see here if you hover over the modifier stats, the skill of integrating the Upper Macedonian province is influenced by our emperor skill. So that's 36 military ability that the emperor has, which gives plus 18. Then 80 military ability of the cabinet member gives another 40%. So the total increase eventually is 56.57, which means we end up with speed of integration of 1.56. The same for every single interaction. You can hover over it and you can better understand how it works. See here, the effective skill of increasing determines your max extra control as well as your monthly change of control. So in this province here, if we go over to the control map mode, we hover over it, we see that the maximum control it can possibly have is 69.47 based on these particular parameters here. And if we go to a province that does not have a cabinet member currently working on it, basically we have zero control, which means we're barely getting anything out of it. That is because despite this being an integrated province, it does not have 50% Greek population. What happens when a province has 50% Greek population? It becomes a core province. If we go over to the integration map mode, we see we have on the map 3 different colors. Well, 4 if we put the hash colors in too. So we have green color, which means these are core provinces. See, it gives plus 20% max control for being a core province, whilst this province here is an integrated province, which means it has the potential to become a core province, but in order to become green or a core province, it needs to have 50% accepted population. That means if we were to accept the Bulgarians, then this would become a core province. Or if we were to convert and we would have above 50% Greek and below 50% Bulgarians, then again it would become a core province. So you have two options. You can either convert to make everything your core provinces in areas that have been already integrated, or you can just accept the population. If we go to the society tab, which you can also do by pressing F4, you see what exactly you have as populations here. So we have a few options. We could tolerate the Bulgarians. Now, because we have made the Bulgarian a tolerated culture, it cost us 4 prestige. It's actually 20% cheaper for us because we have the accept the tenant of the person tenant from our religion, the Orthodox faith. Otherwise, it would cost 5 prestige. But in order to make them an accepted culture, which would turn this into a core province, it would cost us another 4 prestige as well as 3.06 cultural capacity. What is cultural capacity, you ask? Well, cultural capacity is shown over here. We have a limit. If we reach the cultural capacity and we go over it, we get some massive debuffs that we really don't want to go over. So it's not possible for us to accept Bulgarians right now because we don't have that much cultural capacity. That's also influenced by the fact that Bulgarian views of Greek are very bad. So if the Bulgarians and the Greek viewed each other better, it would cost a lot less than 3.06 to accept this particular culture, which is why we're going to have to eventually get better relations and curry favors with them so that we can actually improve our cultural acceptance of one another. We'll get into cultures a little bit more in detail later. Now we've fulfilled our very first task from the mission tree, which gives us efficiency of cabinet plus 10%. We've got a few more that we fulfilled, namely functioning government, which gives again crown power, and we've also done meritocratic approach that increases the administrative ability of our cabinet members, and we get 10 progress towards innovative societal value. Getting another loan, boom shakalaka, go back to our cabinet members, and then we decide which one we want to turn into a head of cabinet. We just click this little promote head of cabinet interaction. It costs 19 ducats and 5 legitimacy, so keep that in mind. I'm going to promote Alexis because I like his cute face. Now we can click head of cabinet, which is going to give us efficiency in cabinet plus 25% for Alexis, and increase cabinet efficiency the next mission, which again doubles down in efficiency on cabinet. Problem is, whilst this is active, we also have increased expected cost of court. If we go to our economy tab, and it's time that we do discuss our economy, cost of court's one of the most problematic things you're going to have as the Byzantines. We're going to have this at maximum throughout pretty much the entirety of the campaign. There's certain events that I'm going to show you in a few moments which will destroy the Byzantine Empire completely unless we have above 80 legitimacy. As you can see, we only have 6 legitimacy, and the mission that was supposed to give me another 10 legitimacy did not give me 10 legitimacy. So it's bad, okay? I would not have done that mission if it actually worked, but it's going to work when you click it. Okay, don't worry about that. I'm using early access now, obviously, to record this, so there might be a few bugs and a few things that will be fixed in your version. Have faith. Back to the economy screen, we do have 9.85 inflation, and we're not really taxing our 3 main estates, which is how you make most of your money in this game, because our maximum taxation is lowered. Why is it lowered? Because the Byzantines start with some really horrible estate privileges. First off, consolidate corruption of the nobles, lowers maximum taxation by 20% for the nobles, and lowers army morale by 20%. Getting rid of this is going to cost us 177 stability. We don't even have close to that. The base cost is actually 400 for this, but it's then multiplied by the actual power of that particular state. Because this estate has 44% power, which is a lot, it ends up with this costing 177. If they had 20% power, it would lower the base cost by 80%, so it would only be 80 stability to revoke this privilege if they only had 20%. Let's give a good example here. Agricoi only have 4%, right? So to lower the corruption of the common folk, which again lowers maximum taxes for peasants by 25, all of these privileges lower the maximum taxes, and I really mean all of them, so we got to get rid of all of them. But revoking them is more or less based on the power of that particular state. Now, before we can even try to revoke this, aside from having the stability, we need to have legitimacy. We need 95 legitimacy in order to revoke these 4 special privileges. The rest of the privileges you can revoke normally, but for these special privileges you have to wait until you get 95 legitimacy. So it is really, really brutal the start of the campaign as the Byzantines because of these estate privileges. Back to the economy screen, we're going to delete the fortification we have in Philadelphia, the little enclave in Anatolia. It's going to be pretty much pointless regardless there. We're going to increase our spending for stability, max it out, lower the diplomatic spending completely. We're going to assign also automated systems for all 4 of the estate taxes, because what this does actually is it taxes as much as it can up until the point where you keep 50% loyalty for your estates. That's not an issue for us, so this is actually pretty well done, and for the rest of the campaign we're going to keep it as this. We cannot lower the inflation right now because we would just go bankrupt very fast, so we're going to have to mint as much as possible, basically go up to minus 0.00%. It's roughly around 5 ducats, give or take. We're also going to delete the fortification in Adrianopolis, and from Thessaly, which starts off as unintegrated provinces, we're going to go to our diplomacy, relations, and then we're going to create a subject. We have a few options. We can go for historical subject, and then we can do the Duchy of Thessaloniki, which includes cores on our neighbors of Neopatria and Salona. We don't want to do that though, because the Duchy of Thessaly actually is a Catholic crusader remnant, so they're going to be Catholics. We don't want them to be Catholics. We're going to go with the custom subject in the province of Thessaly, and that way it's going to be whatever the majority culture and religion is in Thessaly. In our case, that would be majority Greek and majority Orthodox, so it's going to be a Greek Orthodox subject, which would be obviously the better option here, not the Catholic one. Also take note, there's 2 types of subjects. There's fiefdoms and vassals. The difference between them is fiefdom is directly ruled by your leader, so by your emperor. Vassal, you assign someone to actually rule that particular kingdom or duchy or county, whatever it might be. And for vassals, you also get 20% embrace institution to capital of the overlord, and vice versa. Whilst for fiefdoms, you get all the other bonuses, but not the institution spread. So I'm going to do myself a little vassal here, assign probably the worst possible cabinet individual or courtier that I have. There we go. So now I got Thessaly as another subject. If we go to country panel, we see that they absolutely love us. They have 200 opinion of us, which is amazing. That's exactly what we want them to be at. Going back to the integration map mode, we also see we've got this little unintegrated province in the mountainside, and we have a little province off to the side in Albania. These are just annoying. If we go to control, there's barely any control in either of these, and it's just pointless having them. So I'm going to click on my beloved Epirates, go to subject action, and I'm going to seed location. We're going to give him this province here. We're going to give him the one in Albania too. So that way our Epirus subject holds the entirety of the western coastline, whilst Thessaly holds the heartlands of Greece, right? By doing this, we make sure that we have an extra 2,000 levies. The Epirates and the Thessalonians will literally help us win the wars of Anatolia by just raising more soldiers. Right now, we would raise basically nothing if we were to directly own these lands because we get no control. But you'll see in a few moments after these nations start using their cabinet members, they're going to have very high control, close to 90, 80 control in all their provinces, since they're very small nations. So that way they can get a decent economy, so they can pay us their fiefs, and they also can help us militarily. One more thing to take note of is that you cannot rival the Ottomans or anybody else in Anatolia. We have up to 4 rivals because we are empire rank that we can get, but we can only rival the bigger nations such as Morocco, Tunisia, the Golden Horde, the Egyptians. These are basically your 4 main rivals. It's kind of sad because we technically will never be at war with these nations in the first 50 to 70 years at least. We will eventually attack them. Well, the Golden Horde is likely going to disappear before we attack them, but we will attack the other nations. It's just very later down the line. That being said, the Ottomans obviously can rival us, so they have an easier time taking our provinces and more benefits from winning wars against us, whilst we don't have the same when we do against them. After the very first month has passed, we get the Turkish threat, which lowers our stability by 20, and we also get to see all the delicious disasters that could potentially trigger. We have a 1% chance every month for any of these disasters to trigger, with the decline of the empire having a 2% chance to trigger. Now, how do we get rid of these? Most of them is actually pretty easy. We just need to have 30 legitimacy. In the case of this one, should be easy to get. This one we need to have 0 stability, so we're 24 short of that. For this one we need to have 10 stability, and for this one, which is the toughest one, the Eastern Roman succession, either 80 legitimacy or 50 stability. One more thing to note is we're going to assign our fleet here by clicking the objective button, patrol the seas, and we're going to give them 1, 2, 3, 4 tiles in which they can patrol. This is done so that if we go to the maritime presence map mode and we hover over the sea tiles, it's because we increase our maritime presence. What does that do? Maritime presence in essence lowers the proximity cost between provinces. So if we have 100% maritime presence, the proximity cost between Constantinople and the provinces on the other side is going to be very low. It's already pretty good because look at that, we have 78 max control because of the proximity to capital being plus 60%. On average, it's good to have 20 to 25 ships for every 4 sea tiles in order to max out your maritime presence. That's what I like to do, but of course, if you have more ships, it's better. If you have less ships, no problem. It's just going to take a little bit longer to increase their maritime presence. Now, don't be afraid of taking loans. I am going to take a lot of loans. Literally every 3 months, I'm taking a new loan because there's just no way of otherwise playing as the Byzantines right now, at least. It is a very, very difficult situation. We're going to go back to our diplomacy here for a second, and we're going to see who exactly we can ally. Right now, it's pretty much Wallachia, and that's it. I'm actually going to get the Wallachian alliance, as I could potentially use them in a war against the Bulgarians, but my first primary concern is the Ottomans. They haven't yet properly consolidated their country. Most of their provinces are still predominantly Greek, so my first war will be against the Ottomans. If I don't take the coastline of the Ottomans in the first 10 years latest, then I'm done for. Once they start consolidating and grabbing the rest of Anatolia, it is going to be impossible to actually fight against them. Also, reform of the Universal Judge of Romans is a really good event to get early on, and usually triggers within the first few years. It does change the Kritai Katholikoi government reform. It gives an extra 10% crown power, so obviously go for this. Take note, once you do implement it, it is not instant. It's going to fully get completed on the 1st of October 1339, so in 2 years, that's when we get the 4th cabinet member. Until then, the 4th cabinet member that we hired previously is just gone now. So we have a few options. We can assign the increased control advisor to strengthen government, but he has very low military ability. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to assign the advisor that's integrating the Upper Macedonian province to strengthen government, since he does have quite a significant amount of military ability. Now that means the progress of integrating the province of Upper Macedonia has halted, but it's not gone. So when I get my 4th cabinet member back, I will assign that 4th cabinet member to continue to finish integrating the Upper Macedonian province. Again, within the first few months, you're going to get the earthquake in Constantinopolis. You have 2 options. You can either lower your legitimacy by 10, or you're going to pay 800 ducats. Obviously, the legitimacy is the better option. There's really not much of an option, but it is what it is. So we're basically back to square one, boys. This might be the worst RNG I got in a while. Aydınids just became a vassal of the Ottoman Empire. This is really bad. They've literally doubled in size already, man. Like, come on. Goes without saying, there's a lot of really horrible events, such as this one, and a lot of more to come events that are equally horrible. We can do royal authority now, which increases the estate satisfaction by 10% for all of our states from our missions. And to do the last mission, the High Era of Eastern Rome, we need to get more stability. If you do not have these missions or the rewards from the missions, that means you have to go to your game rules. Then you scroll down on general, make sure you have mission rewards, every task reward, and of course mission packs enabled. Hey, look at that. Because we got 20 legitimacy, we got rid of one of the potential disasters. I do still have quite a few diplomats, so I'm going to assign one to build a spy network in Menteşehir, because we do have, remember, our cores in the northern parts of Mughla. And I'm going to do the same for Karasids and the other nations here, but it just hasn't triggered the event yet, and Aydınids has not lost control over their subjects. Now, when you get these type of events, it might be brutal losing 15% estate satisfaction with your nobles, but 5 legitimacy is actually godsend. So yes, definite. My emperor just died. Oh god. Oh, my emperor just died. Oh god. Oh, this 42. How do you die at 42? And it's time for our very first parliament, boys. Synkletos possible indeed. We're gonna sign it in Constantinople. I'm gonna go for whichever one of the parliament issues has the highest starting support. So we see here we start with 47% support for 2 of these issues. We're gonna increase our ties with our neighbors. So because of that extra support, which means we all together have 57 from day 1, so we can request a casus belli fabrication. Like I said earlier, Ottomans are an absolute must. So I'm gonna request a casus belli fabrication on their capital of Hudavendigar. And because I don't want this parliament issue to fail, I'm gonna try and get it up to 50% support. The way it works right now is if it's 50 or 50.1 or 70, it passes. If it's 49.9, it fails. Simple as that. It's not a percentage. Green pass, red fail. That's simple. Now, this is going to be painful because we are actually going to lose a little bit of stability by doing it. But unfortunately, sometimes you have to do that. There you go. We can also do 5 prestige for serfdom, which is actually acceptable. We basically lost 2.5 stability rather than 7 stability, because if you fail a parliament issue, then you lose 7 stability. And we also gain some serfdom and some diplomats, because once we finish this parliament issue, we're going to get 5 diplomats. We're going to get one more of our diplomats to build a spy network in Aydınids. Since they haven't lost their subjects, there's a chance we might just have to fight Aydınids and all of these guys in the same war. Now that we do have the CB against the Ottomans, let's go ahead, assign parliament approved claim on the province. They are joined by their subjects, the Aydınids. We are slightly stronger than them. We're going to call in the Wallachians and the Trebizond, so then we're significantly stronger than them. That being said, it's not going to be a piece of cake, trust me. We're going to raise all of our levies, boom all of the naval levies, boom all of the military levies. We're going to cancel the levies in this one province, as they can easily wipe out that levy, and then we gave them a free war score. We don't want that. We're going to cancel the levies that we have in areas that are very difficult to reach, as well as Philadelphia, obviously. All right, let's go ahead and merge up all of our units now. Assign a decent general if we can. Obviously, more military skill is preferred. We can also merge up all of our fleets. Make sure we also click attachments allowed, and we're going to go to our diplomacy, relations, and manage subjects. Click on the military stance and click on supportive for both of the subjects. That way they're gonna attach their armies to our army. And let's see, was I right? Yes, I was. There you go. We got an extra 4,000, almost 3,500 soldiers that we're gonna attach to our main army, so we can actually win the wars against the Ottomans. And if I was a massive cheese ball, I probably would make another subject, either from the upper Macedonian part or from the southern part of Greece, but it's fine. I think this is enough to win most of the initial engagements. Hey, there you have it. They broke away. Okay, finally. So that means these nations are now independent, and we probably want to get a spy network in each of these nations rather than Aydınids. I'm gonna have to cancel the spy network in Aydınids. That's kind of a waste of a diplomat, but it is what it is. If we don't do that, then we end up losing diplomats every month by 0.1 for no reason. Oh, our 4th cabinet member is finally here. Let's assign him to integrate the province of Upper Macedonia. Boom. Now, as you notice, it's it's a lot more expensive than 4 ducats to hire him now. It is scaled based on our actual tax base, which is 94 now, not the 30 or 60 that we start with. Now, the entirety of the Ottoman army is a little bit scared of attacking me, and I'm going to take advantage of that. I'm going to try and siege down Izmit and wait for the Ottomans to attack me. This should give time for my subjects to bring their 3,000 and attach those as well to my army. I also want to have a bit of a really important talk with you guys, because some of the most valuable values as Byzantines is centralization. Obviously, it increases our crown power, it lowers proximity costs, so we get more control. Of course, plutocracy, or the middle ground between aristocracy and plutocracy, is also pretty good. But one really unique one for the Byzantines that is vital is naval, because naval will lower the proximity costs for maritime by 1 flat. So our coastal provinces are going to have ridiculously high control because of this. But we want to go for naval, but it's 32 ducats. We already have an insane amount of debt. We have 700 ducats in debt. You might also be wondering, why are you not assaulting the fort? The fort has 138 soldiers. I would lose my entire army and I would still not take the fort, okay? Keep that in mind. Also, if I assault the fort, the Ottomans are literally waiting for that. The second I attack the fort, the Ottomans are gonna attack me. Hey, we got the fort, and we also destroyed the Ottoman fleet. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna refill garrison. What does that do? If we go here, we see that we have complete garrison recovery in the fort of Izmit. So for the Ottomans to take Izmit, they either have to manually do it, or they have, which means they're gonna sit there for a while, or they're gonna have to assault it, in which case they lose their entire army. Also, I'm scared, because if I attack the Ottomans, I'm gonna lose that battle. I know I outnumbered them, but I'm still gonna lose them. So I'm gonna avoid that, and I'm gonna siege down their capital and then see how we take it afterwards. Also, I'm gonna get a spy network on wait, what? They became a, oh, come on, really? They became a subject of the Ottomans whilst I was at war with the Ottomans, so they're not in my war. Oh, this is literally the worst case scenario. Okay, let's get a spy network on the Aydınids, because they got a subject in Saruhanids apparently too. So yeah, the Anatolian world is definitely dividing right now. Apparently half of it has already gone to the Ottomans, so it's not good whatsoever. Oh god, no, 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 please win, please win. Oh, this is bad. If we lose this, we literally lose the entire war. Come on, let me see the battle. Hold up a second. Let me see the battle here. Let me see the battle. Are we doing good? Okay, we actually are doing good. Fine, I'll take it. I'll take that win. Maybe I'm just gonna detach an army to siege this down, and then the rest of it, I'm gonna start carpet sieging the rest of the Ottoman lands whilst they still have their army weakened, because it's gonna take them a while to recover from that. So let's see, they've got 5,000 units right now. Yeah, it's gonna take them quite a while to recover from that. Let's go ahead and siege as much as we possibly can, detach, and go to the next province capital so we can possibly win this super fast. Hey, look at that, finally our subjects are also arriving. What is taking you guys so long? Hey, we also got the high era of Eastern Rome, which means we now got maximum tax plus 5% in prosperity. So can we tax these guys? We actually can tax them now. Oh my god, we're making a little bit of money from the Astoi and from the Dinatoi. Probably should have mentioned trade, because I haven't talked about it yet. If you go to the trade tab, you see the current trades right now, which is not many because we don't have much trade capacity. I'm actually gonna talk in depth about this later in this video once we actually start fixing our economy. So the first phase is just conquering Anatolia. The second phase is fixing the absolutely horrendous economy, 900 in debt and going up. Okay, we've encountered the Ottomans again. They tried to sneakily get away from us, but it's not gonna happen, buddy boy. It's not gonna happen. Again, we're gonna win this because we outnumber them literally 3-1, but they seem to have actually done a tactical retreat. So let's go back to the capital. I'm really worried that they're gonna just wipe out my units in the capital there. We don't want to lose the progress on that siege. Of course. They tried, but they failed because we're better, okay? Totally wasn't because of dumb luck and because they had basically no morale because they were retreating. Not because of that, clearly not. All right, boys, that's basically the last of the Ottomans. We've essentially won the war already. 87% war score. We can enforce, but I really want to go for 100% just so I can grab as much as I can. And I also want to grab the capital. You need to grab the fort in order to take that province. There we go. We did get Bursa. Now for the peace deal, guys, very important. You either can left click individual locations, or you can hold left control button and left click, and that gives you the entirety of the province. Similarly, if you hold left control and you right click, it deselects the entirety of the province, or if you want to just deselect the single province, right click. So mandatory, we get the entirety of Kocaeli and Hudavendigar. We also want all of Bolu, and I would love all of Sultanonu, but it's going to be over the war score. So that's a problem. We're going to need to cancel one of these somewhere, like maybe that one. That should work, I guess. It's exactly 100 war score. We get basically no coalition. Only the Ottomans end up with the coalition against us. We're not able to take any money. It would be of massive massive help if we took some money, but it is more vital that we grab the land than grabbing the money, because check it out, boys. We've got still above 50% Greeks in almost all the provinces we took, with a couple of exceptions. I believe this one here is predominantly Turkish right now, and this one as well. This location is predominantly Turkish. Everything else is still predominantly Greek. Actually, I made a mistake. This is predominantly Greek, so I should have grabbed this Domanic instead of Dorileum, because that would have been more beneficial to me. But hey, it is what it is. It's still not an integrated province, this regardless. Now, after 1 month passes, we should have all of this as actual cores. There we go. So if we go over to our control map mode, and if we hover over this, the maximum control is actually 74 because of the proximity reduction across the sea here from Constantinople. Same here, 80 maximum control. So what we're going to do is you're going to increase the control in these two recently conquered areas. Now we're also going to be disbanding all of our levies, all of our ships, everything. And you're going to get some threatening letters from the Aydınids and everybody else in Anatolia. Obviously, do not lose 10 legitimacy. If they're pissed off, it makes no difference. Come at me, buddy. I want that 2.5 legitimacy more than you know. No, I'm not gonna lie, guys. I'm actually gonna disband the army. It's pretty bad economically. After a month, it should refresh a tiny bit, so it should be a little bit better. But yeah, you go. It's a lot better because we're not buying as much food as we were before. After conquering a new province, you're gonna have food shortages, so you're gonna be buying a lot of food, which is why it was 20 something. But still, it's pretty bad. Minus 14. And the worst part is that we only have 100 ducats left that we can borrow from our estates. So if we take another 100 plus, we go bankrupt. We don't want to go bankrupt in this game. Bankruptcy is death. We really don't want to go bankrupt. We also can now assign a religious law policy for Slabbery. So we're going to do forced conversion of Slavs because we want to have them all become Orthodox, not Sunnis. And we can again get another rival. We're going to go for the Upper Bavarians. Why not? Now what I'm going to do next is a little bit weird, but I'm going to mint to maximum and I'm going to go down to stability to 0. Why is that? I need 80 legitimacy and we're really close to it. Actually, next month we're going to get 80 legitimacy. So once that happens, we don't have any more looming disasters. You saw that? It went away. No more disasters for the rest of the campaign as long as we keep it about above 80 legitimacy, 0 stability. We're going to mint like crazy so we can pay off our loans. So this is the idea now. We pay off the loans and we're going to continue to have wars against the other Beyliks since we got rid of the big bad dog, the Ottomans. For now, they're going to be back. Trust me. By the time the truce is over, we're going to have to be really ready for that. We've entered the Age of Renaissance. A lot of choices here. Honestly, the best one in my opinion is going for admin focus as it fixes a lot of our issues researching those particular advances. And we also now have enough spy network, 20 spy network in Menteshid, so we can claim province of Mugla from them. 195 pops, a lot of which are Greeks, are going to come back into the fold. So that means we can stop building up the spy network in Menteshid. Maybe we can establish another one in Germianids again, or even Cyprus or Teke wouldn't be a bad idea actually. Also, our crown power is pretty bad, 19, which gives us a lot of debuffs. So we'll have lower tax efficiency, lowered efficiency of cabinet, diplo reputation, policy change cost increase. It's really bad. You want to keep this above 25 crown power at all times. So one of the things that's influencing this is our debt. We have a lot of loans, which lowers the crown power by 20% modifier. So we're going to have to pay this off as much as possible. We're going to go with repay all possible loans. So basically we're paying off the smaller loans that we took earlier on in the campaign first, such as the 46 loans that we just paid off right now. And we got 130. What the hell was that event? Okay, I don't even know what that was. I clicked a little bit too early. I'm not going to lie, but I'm really happy with that. So we're down to 700 debt. This is actually manageable. I'm not going to lie. This is really manageable now. That being said, our inflation is 13%. So that's super bad. That's going to have to be fixed after this. Going back to our advances, I'm going to cancel every single one of the advances that we've got right now. Why am I doing that? Am I going crazy? No, it's because I want to get scholarly treaties, the very first research. This is going to make it 5% cheaper to revoke privileges. We have 95 legitimacy, boys. That's right. We finally achieved it. We got the legitimacy required to start revoking the bad privileges, and the cheapest one would be this one. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do this now. 17, that's actually nothing. And we still end up with 0 stability, and we also can tax our agricoi a lot more. Oh my god, we just doubled the amount of tax that we're getting from the agricoi. Okay, that's really, really good, actually. So next one is going to be revoking this. So we need 40 stability, and that's going to go down after scholarly treaties. We've maxed out our legitimacy. We are at 100, so we're going to keep the cost of court at maximum because it doesn't make a difference anymore what we do with it. As long as it's at maximum, it means that whenever this drops below 100, it will quickly rise back up to 100. And remember, you also get crown power plus 10% from 100 legitimacy, so it's always good to have. That being said, because it's already at 100, it costs a lot less now, cost of court, so we're actually making a lot of money, which means we don't need to mint as crazy as we were before. We can just keep it at lower amounts of minting and still 15 ducats, which means we can still pay off our debt fairly early on. But I'm going to do something else. I'm going to max out my stability again, because remember, we need that stability to revoke the burgher privilege next. Another really important thing to do is after you've conquered a new area, it's going to have a lot of lowered prosperity. So you need to recover that prosperity, which means we're going to assign one of our cabinet members to recover prosperity in Nicomedia and all the other areas that have 58 minus prosperity. That is really bad. That is actually really bad. This impacts a lot of things. It's pretty sad. We don't really have much money right now, but if we were to get an extra level of Theodosian Walls, our city would basically be impregnable right now. So if we click back here, we see we have 2 levels of Theodosian Walls. That means, check it out, guys. This is crazy. We have 900 garrison and a level 6 fort. It literally would take about 30,000 soldiers to actually take this. I'm not saying we're safe for now from enemy invasions, but I feel like we're safe for the time being. Our claim on Mughal is done, so let's go ahead with the war. I will assign claim on province, and I will also co-belligerate Aydınids, which means they're gonna bring in their friends Aydınids, which means I can call in Trebizond, because Trebizond would love to grab a little bit of Aydınids. Since it's right next to them and it's predominantly Pontic pops, which is Trebizond's pops, I'm gonna make sure they do that. Let's go ahead and attack His Maximus, raise all the levies, raise all the fleets. Boys, we're going to war. Oh, 7 stability, but piss off the clergy. Don't mind if I do. The cool part about this war is that all of them are basically right next to one another, so we're taking out 5 rabbits with 1 stone right now. And we're also in the process of getting the next claim against Aydınids, so once this war is over, we can straight up attack Saruhanids and Aydınids. We're going to try and promote integration process, which will give us some integration progress in the area that we took from the Ottomans in the previous war. I've got really weak soldiers. I got like 3 times the strength here, but I was so close to losing this battle, like really close to losing it, simply because my morale of armies is really low compared to them. We still have the privilege here for the nobility, army morale minus 20%, and now with both our subjects and our allies attached to our armies, we are absolutely winning every single engagement, so we're not worried about it anymore. That being said, we can do separate peace treaties here, so we could say grab Kütahya and Uşak from Germanids, because the western parts here, if we go to the cultural map mode, still is predominantly Greek, with a couple of exceptions here. The eastern part's predominantly Turkish already, and Turkoman, barely any Greek, so I'm not going to bother with that anymore, because it's basically Jover for the people there. Antagonism is piling up. I can also get a little bit of money from them, and more importantly, I can ask them for war reparations, and I can ask them to annul all of their treaties with the Ottomans, which is very important. We can do this now, actually, so we don't need to stress about the Germanids for quite a while. I love how Teke is still 90% Greek in the southern bits and pretty sizable amount of Greeks in the other parts too, so this is going to be juicy to grab from them. Oh dude, Mentashids wiped out the Knights of Rhodes? When did they even do that? Oh, that's crazy. Don't worry, Knights, we're going to avenge you by basically taking you for ourselves now. But I've had some really careful deliberating, and I cannot grab Hamids without a coalition that includes the Mamluks. The Mamluks is where I draw the line, because if the Mamluks enter a coalition, I'm dead. I literally have to restart. The Mamluks are ridiculously overpowered. 15,000, and they have 2,000 something standing army, 7 mil pops, 240 base. Yeah, it's just, they are very powerful. That doesn't even include all of their subjects, which is a lot of them. So sadly, the Greeks and Hatimids are going to be Greeks for not much longer. But on the bright side, at least we grabbed the southern parts of Greece, right? Of Western Anatolia. So we saved a big chunk of Greek folk around here, including areas with 90% Greeks. Now we're gonna have to disband all of our levies, but not for too long, because we got the claim on the Aydınids, so we're gonna instantly declare the war on them too. That way we can grab Saruhanid and Aydin lands before they join the coalition, because rest assured, everyone here is joining the coalition after I unpause. Well, not everyone, because I still have truce with half of them technically. I got truce with Germanids, Kandarinids, Ottomans, so So it's really just Eretna and Karamanids. That's the only ones that can actually join. So now we can raise our levies again, and we're gonna have to march down again because it's gonna take a while. Now I love the fact that my subjects did not actually disband their levies, so they could just literally walk from the southern parts with the same levies from the previous war. That's kind of overpowered, I'm not gonna lie, because we basically won this insanely fast now. We won the war before my units actually even arrived there. That's crazy. All right, that should be basically it. Let's see if we can do the peace deal. We can in fact completely annex everything here. We can even grab a little bit of money. It is 62 aggressive expansion or antagonism, but check it out, because we've basically wiped out half of the Anatolian Beyliks. The people that get that aggressive or antagonism with us is the Anatolian Beyliks, and we got truce with half of them, and we've eaten up the other half. So we've done pretty well. Look at that, boys. Look at that, boys. We've gained most of the Western Anatolian parts in just 8 years. 8 years. We crushed the Ottomans in 2. We got most of Western Anatolia in 8. That is wild. That is actually wild. Also, about the time that this video is coming out, I probably will be streaming, and I'll be streaming Byzantium as my first campaign. Now, one thing to note, after this initial expansion, if you don't do it as fast as I did, it's going to be a lot worse for you, right? But even as fast as I did, check out what our actual situation is. So we got the Ottomans, which have Karasids and Kachandarinids, which is not too bad. But then we have Eretna, which has 60 to 70% of Anatolia already. Eretnids have Karamanids, they have Gurmianids, Sahib, Ahis. All of these are subjects of the Eretnids right now. That's not good. That's really, really not good. Because when I start going into central Anatolia, I have to fight an insanely overpowered massive Eretnids. Because rest assured, they will integrate all of these nations by the time that I'm ready to fight them. Also, when you assign generals, take note, some of them might have admiral traits. If it's a blue color trait, it's an admiral trait. If it's a red color trait, it is a general trait, so that's for your land forces. Well, what do you know? The Black Death has arrived in Elista. Just in time, Black Death. Just in time. Oh god, this is gonna be brutal, isn't it? We got 2.6 million population. About to say goodbye to those pops. But before anything, guys, check it out. If we go to our integration map mode, because these provinces are still above 50% Greek, we actually are making the most out of them. So if we go to our control map mode, we can still have around 10 to 20 control in most of these areas. Best way to increase that is to increase the maritime presence in the sea tiles, and of course to wipe out Karasid, so we have a continuous line from the northern bits too. My normal strat is attack Ottomans and then attack Karasids, but because Karasids became a subject of the Ottomans, it makes things a lot worse, honestly. This is probably one of the worst runs I've had RNG wise when it comes to expansion in Anatolia, but I like it. Always enjoy a challenge. And speaking of challenges, let's revoke the corruption of the burghers so we can actually start taxing them. Look at that, 5.55 ducats instantly. Oh, that is delicious. The Black Plague has arrived in Constantinople, so it's time we take some action for this. First thing I'm doing is I'm presenting a scapegoat because we get population conversion speed. The downside is we do get traditionalism, but we're so early on, eventually we're gonna be able to switch from traditionalism to innovative later down the line. I'm not worried about it too much. Now, if we really want to save as many pops as possible, we also can segregate the infected, which is going to give communalism, which is another thing that I actually really want. It does lower our stability, so that sucks, but it is what it is. If we go over to our values, we see our communalism has reached up to 50 maximum communalism. So that means we were going to have significantly cheaper privileges to revoke. I'm actually going to assign one of these gentlemen to change my societal value, so we go towards communalism even faster. Now we're getting 0.66 communalism every month with a maximum of 66.15. 66.15 communalism means I will likely be able to revoke both of these privileges very, very fast. The parliament is about to assemble again. This time we're going to be increasing relations with our neighbors by getting a casus belli and attacking them, because it just makes all the sense in the world if you think about it. That's right, we're attacking Karasids. Problem is that they're actually allied to the Eretnids. So the Ottomans just got a massive alliance with Eretna, which means for us to get Karasids, we have to fight literally the entirety of Anatolia. It's gonna be a brutal war for sure. All right, truce should be over now with the Otto bros. Let's set up a parliament-approved claims on province. We might as well co-belligerate the Eretnids too, since it makes literally no difference right now. They also become the enemy leaders since they are the strongest of the nations here. Ottomans literally being reduced to 4 separated provinces, if we don't include their subjects' lands, of course. And I'm not sure I believe the whole we're stronger than them thingy. I feel like that might be a little bit of BS right there. Let's check our diplomatic map mode. Yep, it is literally all of the Anatolian parts. This is not good at all. We're also in the Trapezoidal War. Maybe we can just piece out of that one. First victory of the war. Let's go. Let's actually check how many units they've got. So Aydınids have the highest amount. That is not surprising at all, actually. Also, to make things very clear, I'm always attacking the capital of a province, because that way automatically the rest of the locations in that province become controlled by me after you've got the capital. Of course, if there's forts in that location that are not within the capital, you're gonna have to take those. Oh, that is a really good general trait. Minus 20% army attrition is huge. Is the bear good enough to take on a small skirmishing party of the Ottomans? Apparently he is, though. Well, boys, we managed to pull a classic EU4 on the Aydınids army, which is now trapped sieging down our fortification of Gallipoli, so they cannot escape that because we got the fleet blocking them from coming back into the Anatolian parts, and I'm pretty sure it's going to take them a while to take that, which is why we're taking advantage and we're conquering as much of Anatolia before relieving the siege of Gallipoli, because this is the entirety of the enemy army. So now I have a very big dilemma because I cannot win 1v1 against the Aydınids. 7,000 against 7,000, they are 100% going to win that engagement. I got a nice amount of war score, so I think I'm just going to take all of the Karasid lands, the entirety of the Sultanonu state as well, and surprisingly, this doesn't get me much of a coalition. In fact, there's zero coalition because I will have a truce with everybody there. I guess except Haminids, that is. And from the rest of the war score, I can just get 4 ducats. That's it. 4 freaking ducats, brother. I'm gonna do some more changes with my government reforms too. We're gonna switch over to royal decree, which gives us centralization as well as crown power and a state satisfaction decay reduction of 2.5. Obviously, this is much more important than the decentralization that we were getting from the previous reform. Now we just need to make sure we get a little bit more towards the centralization path so we can start centralizing. Easiest way to do that is revoking communal lands, actually. It does mean we're not going to have loyalty for the peasantry, so we're not going to be able to fight for a while, but it is worth it because check it out now. We're so close to going centralized. In fact, I'm just going to assign one of my guys here. Let's go. Chances side of values, centralization, and boom, boys, 0.11 towards centralization every month. So eventually, once we reach 100 centralization, we're going to have 50% more crown power and proximity cost. So we're going to get more control in all of our provinces. Let's check what's going on with the plague right now. It seems to have gone away from most of our provinces. I see it's managed to sneak its deadly claws in Ethiopia. So it's probably ravaging the East African areas now. I'm also minting at max capacity right now just so I pay off my debt so I can start spamming marketplaces afterwards, which means I can start fixing my economy. The famous Gallipoli earthquake. If the Ottomans were still around here, this would have been a lot worse, but luckily for us, Gallipoli still stands and is within empire borders. For the next parliament issue, we can go for balancing the budget, which is going to lower our bank interest by 2%, so we essentially save up 63 ducats, as well as we get monthly inflation 0.4 and flat 2.5 inflation reduction. So this is huge. From an economic standpoint, this is really going to help us out massively. We can reduce the levy obligation for the nobility. Don't really care about it too much. I feel like we could probably go for 100%. So maybe we can do a claim on Cyprus. Yeah, there you go. These people here are Greeks 100%, right? So we might as well liberate them. Then we do serfdom and we do spiritual base and we got 50%. So we can pass the parliament issue and we can attack the Cypriots too. Also, seeing as we have a little bit of extra money now, we can build some more marketplaces. So I'm going to get a couple of them in my core areas here. Marketplaces is how we're going to start making a lot of money. I should have built up these marketplaces earlier, but better late than never, right? Also, I'm going to give some privileges to the burghers now, including commercial advisory board is huge since it's going to allow us to get more trade capacity and it's going to push us towards capital economy, and urban development grants will slowly increase our monthly development for the rest of the campaign. This privilege we will not be revoking until we finish the run. So till 1836 is going to be there. What does that privilege do? Well, if we hover over development, we see that because of that privilege and a few other reasons, we are slowly getting development each month in all of our provinces, of course at different rates, but still it's in all the provinces. And during the parliament in session, despite minting at maximum, we're still losing inflation. It is delicious. And now let's go ahead and teach those crusaders in Cyprus that this is Greek land. Well, at least most of it is. So here's the thing, right? Why I'm doing this now. Usually, if I don't take Cyprus in the first 30 to 50 years, most of it becomes Poitevin, which is the actual culture of Cyprus, since it is the remnants of Jerusalem, basically. They are a French-speaking nation, Catholic, so probably religious. There's even more Catholics, aren't there? Yep, look at that. There is an insane amount of Catholics. Predominant Catholics in the capital, in Nicosia, so we have to take it and revert that. Land, my pretties, land. Go straight for their capital. Take them out. Take them all out right now, I said. Oh, they actually have a town in Larnaca. So towns and cities make it more difficult to integrate provinces, which is why I also like to take out these countries early on before they make towns and cities. Sure, I like the fact that they make towns and cities. I don't need to make them, so I basically get free towns and cities, but it's still going to be more difficult to integrate and annoying. It has murdered 1 million of our population, despite us doing our best to prevent that from happening. It's pretty normal, to be fair. Sometimes it can get a lot worse though. So how many Greeks do we have now? We've got overall 2.2 million Greeks. We've got 1.1 million Turks, 700,000 Bulgarians, 300,000 Wallachians, 200,000 Moldovans. Yeah, it's definitely interesting. And the siege of Cyprus is done, so now we can fully annex the entirety of Cyprus. Whoa, we can get 74 ducats? These people were rich, like rich. Holy mother of God. I should have attacked Cyprus earlier. Wow. We actually can pay off our last loan now with the money we took from Cyprus. So now we're going to go 0 minting, and I mean 0. Don't pay for the fortifications, and we're just going to rely on our trade. So we're going to go to the trade tab, and we're going to assign as much trade as possible. We're going to go for the more profitable routes and see how much money we can make off of that. We only have 21% crownless. The way the trade works is basically if you're getting, say, 100 profit from trade, you only get a percentage of that profit based on your crown power. So if we get the 100 profit, then we only get 21 ducats because we have 21 crown power, which means we need to increase our crown power ASAP. We still have to revoke this. Screw it, man. I'm doing it now. Minus 16 stability again. This particular disaster is possible to spawn again. Back to square 0, but now we can tax the clergy. Not much though. 0.29 ducats for all that doesn't seem like a fair deal to me. But we actually can go up to 17% maximum tax for them now. So that's actually a lot. Oh, what happened here? Ottomans and Aydınids also became subject of the Aydınids. Okay, so if we go to the rise of the Turks situation, Aydınids have won the rise of the Turks. Karamanids are second afterwards, and then Artukids are as well in here. But the reality is Aydınids have everybody in Anatolia that is Turkish as a subject, with 3 exceptions really. I also just noticed that the Mamelukes killed off Cilicia, the last remnants of the Armenians here. So now pretty much every single time I get enough money, I just build another marketplace and just spam marketplaces first off in Constantinople, because I've got enough population there to support all 13 current marketplaces. And then after I build those in there, I build in the rest of the adjacent core areas around Constantinople. No other buildings for now until we finish building all the marketplaces. That's basically the easiest way for us to get money to fix our economy now. And yes, we're doing pretty good. We're actually lowering our inflation whilst at the same time still minting a tiny bit. Stability is on max. Cost of court is on max as well. I've also decided it's time that we annex Thessaly, and because it's a smaller nation than us, we get a massive bonus, 155%, as well as having Greek, the dominant culture, our culture, gives another 100%. So we're annexing at 3.55 each month, which is a decent amount. I remember in the previous patches, Negropont and Argos used to have insane amount of fortifications, like very early in the campaign. By the time that I attacked them in the 1350s, they would have like a fort in every single province. That was before, when there was no minimum maintenance for anything. So AI would just keep it on minimum maintenance, which was 0 payment for forts, and they would have an insane amount of forts. Now there's also a fort limit. So if you go to your military, you see for us, we can have up to 37 forts right now. I'm going to have to do a couple of separate peace deals because I would not have enough war score otherwise. The last truly independent Beylik is gone. Now it's just us and Eretna. That's it. Oh, actually, there's these guys here too. We don't talk about these guys, okay? They don't exist. Don't ignore them. Now, we might get a tiny bit of a coalition in the Balkans, though, because taking over all of this island means Salona and the Sicilian subjects are not going to be our biggest friends. But look at the bright side. We are looking significantly better. We got a big chunk of land now, and the only things we need to worry in the Balkans is just Sicily and their subjects. So that's probably going to be my next target alongside the Genoese holdings here and there. Okay, Thessaly has been annexed too, so now we get cores on all the provinces that were not initially integrated. They are now integrated, and we get to keep whatever control they had until it goes down to the actual maximum control. So from 100, Larissa will eventually go down to 26 maximum control. Hey guys, post-recording Ludi video here. I wanted you guys to be aware of some things. There are some changes with the UI, some changes with the AI, some changes with the performance between this and the release patch. So if you see some stuff that doesn't match up with your version of Byzantium when you get the game, not to worry, I got you covered though. A week after the game comes out, I'll do a brand new dedicated guide for Byzantium where we're gonna use the latest patch, whatever that might be at that point, and I'll make sure you guys have the knowledge you need to navigate the early game as Byzantium and become a super powerful economy. Also, I'm gonna have some streams as Byzantium. If you haven't checked out those streams yet, make sure you do. I'll leave a link in the description below. I go through every single thing in the stream, which should technically have the release date patch. And that way we can clear up any sort of new feature they might have added, some changes to AI or anything of the sorts. So before we go back to the video, do make sure to use my link to grab the game for yourself. It really would mean the world to me and my family if you did use the link. Thank you so much for considering it. We have the option of reforming the Pronoia system. This is one of our laws, unique Byzantine laws, and once reformed, we also get crown power plus 10%. So of course, we're gonna be going for it. Take note, as with everything, is not instant, so it takes a couple of years before we actually have the reformed Pronoia system properly implemented and we get all the benefits out of it. Now, with more marketplaces, we get more and more income. Check it out, we got 14 already in trade income alone, which allows us to keep spamming again and again more and more marketplaces. We're up to 12 already in the capital, and we still have a lot more we need to build. We literally have to max out all of these before we even think about starting to build any other building. This war is going to be really, really close, and I mean seriously close. We only have 13,000 levies, and the Aydynids with all of their subjects and allies probably have around the same, if not a little bit more. The problem is our units are still weaker than them, so we're going to have to be a little bit sneaky and try and pick off enemy units when they are separated from the rest of the herd. So we've been winning quite a few battles, and that gave us enough war score to technically get what we want, because we just want the southern coastline and we want to get Karahisar, which is predominantly Turkish now. I could add to this the liberation of all East Roman slaves, get a little bit of money, get a little bit of war reparations too. So yeah, we probably just spam the money. There you go, 43 ducats is enough. I feel like I'm going to do this because this is going to be a very quick war with very good results. There you go, way better borders. We have now a connection to the Mamelukes, so in the future when we want to go to war with them, we can just straight up attack them from the south, because we obviously want to liberate Cilicia, liberate them, make them into our subject, and they can basically be our little buffer state in between us and the Mamelukes eventually. Wallachia would like to improve cultural opinion with us. That is huge. So what that means is that as of now, if we ever want to basically make Wallachians an accepted or tolerated culture, it's going to be a lot cheaper. Problem is we don't have any Wallachians in our country, so it is what it is. I'm not even sure why they did that, but I guess it's fine. It's just like, why not do it if you can, right? We technically could do the same with them. We just don't have the 50 favors curried just yet. I'm also going to use the parliament to change a specific legislation that I should have changed a while back. Actually, a couple of them I need to change. From noble controlled mining operations, we have to switch to burgher one because it's going to give us capital economy and plutocracy, but we also want to switch away from aristocratic courts, which has increased expected cost of court and progress towards aristocracy. I like to get itinerant court because it gives us proximity cost through land minus 10%, so that really increases our control. Problem is it also gives decentralization, which kind of sucks, but right now it's one of those cases of beggars can be choosers, so I'm gonna have to go for it. Well, we might just be cooked here, boys. The Neapolitans have declared war on me, and it is a very bad moment for them to do that. So yeah, let's see what happens. I kind of feel like Naples has a professional army, which means it's GG's from the get-go, but let's just make sure. No, they do have a small one, 400 professional units. Okay, that's actually not too bad. We might actually win this. I was expecting them to have like 5,000-6,000 professional soldiers, so it's a lot less. I do need to be careful with my fleets though, because they do have a bigger fleet than me. 26 actual ships, so that's 10 standing galleys and 5 transports, and they got the Pope on their side too, which also has 14 ships, so probably gonna not be able to use my fleet much. Holy mother of God, they just raised 22,000 units. Oh, I am so cooked. I am actually actually mega cooked. Okay, go Trebizond. I don't even know how they managed to get their units to the west of my empire before I did, though. That's crazy. And it might be over, boys. 9,000 Neapolitans. Well, technically, I could probably get those guys out of here. Yeah, that's actually half of the Neapolitan army. That means they got another half probably on the way. If we take care of these guys, we might actually win this. So we're applying the old divide and conquer tactics right now. Let's see if they're actually going to work. Oh, we did win. Okay, we actually did win. No, we didn't. They actually retreated. They tactically retreated the little. Oh my god, the AI actually thinks. Well, they cannot withdraw from this island now, so that is a Stackenweipen. Except no, apparently they can withdraw. What? Oh, my fleets didn't even get there. Bro. I asked my fleets to arrive, but apparently my fleets have other plans. The other 12,000 units have also landed in the north, so this is going to be juicy. You know what I'm going to try and do? I'm going to try and wipe out their fleet. If we manage to get rid of these ships, they're not going to be able to transport in between Naples and my areas, so maybe I can land in Naples and get some more score from just grabbing their lands. Say hello to my little fleet, buddy boy. Please don't die, fleet. Please don't die. No, seriously, please don't die. If they defeat my fleet, I'm going to be very disappointed. Nope, we won. Yay, we won. Now, boys, we do have a bit of a situation here. The entirety of the Neapolitan army has merged into one major stack, and it is impossible for me to win against them. Remember, we still have our freaking horrible estate privilege for the nobility, and despite having plus 22 war score, I cannot win this war. I really cannot win this. I know the game well enough at this point to know that this is godsend. -2 is really godsend. If I don't take this, it's going to be worse. So I'm going to give up here, and I'm just going to give them something that doesn't really matter, such as I can give them fleet basing rights. There you go. That way, they won the war. I lost against the Neapolitans, but more importantly, that gives me time to fix my country, because it might seem on the surface like I'm doing great. Let's be honest, it's not the worst game, but the truth is I'm not doing great, guys. Let me show you a few things here. My control is horrible. I barely have 15 to 17 control in most of my provinces. The eastern part of my empire has 0 control, so I'm literally getting nothing out of this. I have a lot of issues I need to fix. I expanded super fast in the first few years, because if I didn't, then it would have been impossible to survive as the Byzantines. But between 1365 to 1390, literally the only thing I can do is just fix my economy, and we're actually doing really good with that. We have almost no loans. We've got 7% inflation, so it's really, really good from that perspective. We can actually build a few buildings too, so we now have quite a few marketplaces built around, and I'm going to max out eventually. We're getting a little bit of money from those marketplaces. Look at that, 22 trade income is huge. So 22 trade income is actually 100 and something trade income, but because our crown lands is only 24%, we're getting very limited amounts, right? That being said, we have 6% loyalty of the nobles, so they're going to rebel, and they're going to rebel hard. Look at this, bro. We got Turkish patriots, although Turkish patriots is not a big deal. They're only in this one province. I have to get rid of this privilege, guys. This has been pulling me back continuously. It's 107 stability to do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna just go through it. We're down to 36 minus stability, but we had to do it. I'm gonna change one of my cabinet members again to help out with stabilizing the country once more, and now we're gonna have to go through the civil war. I also revoked that now, since the nobility was going to revolt regardless. This way, once the nobility revolts and we hopefully win the civil war, which is going to be now, look at that, 108 progress because we revoked the privilege. So the second I unpause, let's see, in 1 month tick, we're going to get the entirety of the nation up in arms. Oh boy, this is not good at all. Oh god, that's actually a lot of provinces. That feels like more than half of the country that's gonna, yep. Oh, this is I don't want to look at the map. I don't want to look at the map. Okay, we got most of the levies though, so the nobles, despite having a big chunk of the country, actually did not get the core area from where we have most of the soldiers or the levies right now. This could have been a lot worse though, to be fair. If we didn't get rid of the Ottomans and we didn't quickly grab up all the Ottoman provinces, we would have been just dead. Imagine we would have had to deal with this and a massive Ottomans at our doorstep. I mean, we still have a massive Aydınids, but I'll take Aydınids over the Ottomans any day. Oh my god, I just realized my shirt's the same color as the rebel color. No! Are we part of the rebellion? Hopefully not. The cool part about this type of civil war is that the second that we take a province, it becomes ours again, so we don't need to wait for a peace treaty or anything of the sorts. And because we outnumber them considerably, just rushing for the capitals is very easy for us to win the war. Hey, we've annexed Epirus. Not sure how I feel about that either, because, again, we're not going to reach this control in a few years. That's going to go down to basically nothing until we increase our maritime presence there. And I'm going to show you guys, after we finish the Civil War, exactly how we're going to fix our control issues early on in the campaign. Hey, we got a few missions we could do as well, so that's pretty nice. Helps out a bit. There you go. Byzantine nobles have surrendered, so now we've got 50% estate satisfaction for the nobles rather than 0%. Way better than before. Oh no, the Turks have rebelled in a single location. All right, let's raise 14,000 soldiers to deal with this one Turkish dude that's kind of upset right now. I'm only showing you guys this particular civil war because this is a different type of war. It's not a civil war, this is a rebellion actually. The other one was a civil war. So for rebellions, you actually have to do a peace treaty, and regardless of the size of the rebellions, now it's really small so we can annex them like this, but some of the big ones can have insane amounts of land, and then the only way to annex all of it is to click on this button. Annex-revolter state. You can also get some money out of it. So regardless of the size, this particular little button will make sure you annex the entire rebellion. I'm only saying this because I know this is going to be one of the most asked questions when the game comes out. It took me a while to figure out you have to press that one specific button to annex the rebellion regardless of its size. With the loan we just paid off, we finally reached 25 power for our crown, so we don't have any more negative modifiers. We actually have some positive modifiers now. Unbelievable. Am I right? Whoa, is that a positive income? Heck, without minting, we're still on a positive income? What is this world? Literally only took us 40 years. Bruh. Now, one of the easiest ways to increase control is to build roads. Roads are expensive though. We would require 1,200 to build a road to Larissa. So, yeah, I still got to work on that economy before we build any roads, boys. I also want to take a second to explain how exactly the patriarchy of Constantinople works. In essence, you've got a few tenants, and each different tenant gives you different bonuses. So high Christology, you get the choice between clergy satisfaction equilibrium or tolerance of the true faith. Liturgical practices, same, you can get legitimacy, or you can get cultural tradition, monthly influence, or you can get diplomatic reputation. It really depends. Each of these are actually really good, and I feel like the Constantinople patriarchy, which is one of the main starting ones at the beginning of the campaign, you can make your own if you're an Orthodox nation, by the way, and you don't want to join another one. But yeah, this is actually pretty well done. I like it. I'm not complaining about it too much. You do accrue a religious influence, which you can use afterwards to change these around, or for other things. You could, for example, you could use 150 religious influence to make saints. We have 2 right now. You could create Third Rome, which creates a holy site. There's a lot of different things. You can call the Orthodox Synod, which gives some unique bonuses. I actually really like calling the Orthodox Synod. Speaking of though, I want to get more religious influence. There's a few ways you could do that. First off, you could destroy another patriarch, and that gives you a boost to how much religious influence you get. Another way is just changing some of these tenets around. I actually really like doing this. Forbid Christological debates, it gives a lot of religious influence, and you just lower the max literacy for clergy. It's not the end of the world. It really isn't. You can change it back later if you need to. And look at that. We're going to get a lot more once this is fully enacted. We're going to get basically 0.5 a month. Also, early on, it's good to use the expand gravel road network whenever you decide to build some roads around. Makes them cheaper, and you also get some centralization bonus. I can only build a single road to Met. Really? That's it? That's actually it? I'm not even going to do that. I'm going to build some more marketplaces. Clearly, we need more marketplaces to make more money right now. At least we get the centralization from expand gravel roads, which is going to be of help. Also, if you're not sure how to expand your RGOs quick, you just go to the goods tab right next to the buildings tab, and you can go to the RGO builder, mass expand RGO. If you shift left click, you're going to build as many RGO upgrades as you have money. For us, we don't have much money, so we can just build the one. That's it. And it's finally happened. We officially have 0 inflation. Inflation is one of the worst things because it just affects everything, makes everything more expensive. Now with 0 inflation, we want to keep it at 0, so we're only going to be minting as much as we can. We're not going over, we're not getting any more inflation, so that's an extra 17 ducats a month, trade income is also up to 27. So that's again a pretty big improvement. Aside from marketplaces, another really vital thing to build up is our ships. We don't have barks, which is the more optimal one because it has higher maritime presence, but we have traditional galleys. So we're going to build about whatever our force limit is for galleys. I'm assuming around 40 to 50. 65. Okay, so we can build 65 galleys. That is 3 fleets, and we can assign these 3 fleets to increase our maritime presence around the Aegean and around the area around Constantinople. So at least our core areas get increased control by default. Can I also mention that I've had the idiot heir from the beginning of the campaign be my leader for 48 freaking years, or not 48, but like 20 something years. It's horrible. Please just die. I even tried to put him on a boat. I send him off to the coastline of Iceland on a single ship to make sure he still somehow survived. How did you get back from Iceland with no ship? Explain that to me. And yes, I know that they intentionally made it so you cannot do that anymore because people were abusing it, but it's funny. Okay, if we switch over to the institution map mode, we also can see that we've got a little bit of banking and professional army spreading to our country from trade with the Italians. We could actually bolster the amount of trade and we can spawn these institutions a little bit faster, but at the same time it seems like we do have quite a bit of professional army that has spread to the former subject of Epirus for some reason. That's very interesting. Even banking has spread. We have it in 7% of our provinces. Wow, it is such a difference when you start snowballing economically. I actually love this. I haven't even thought about expansion anymore for the past 8 years or so. Of course, we get the comment cited as soon as I get excited. Why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we? We've also been making a little bit of progress with our control, and I think it's time that I also continue to expand roads as well. Now, for roads, to make these a little bit cheaper, would be smart if we had more lumber, masonry, and sand in the market. Right now, lumber is a tiny bit of an issue. Masonry, we have a lot, so it's making our roads 33% cheaper. Sand, we also have a decent amount. So lumber is going to be what I'm going to push for next. Let's see, where do we have lumber? One here, one here. Yeah, just going to spam as much lumber as I can next before I upgrade anything else. Also, guys, the Byzantines have a unique building, the Thema headquarters, which gives you manpower and the ability to recruit soldiers there, but it lowers the crown power by 10% wherever it's built. I generally tend not to build them because by the point that I start building them around 1390s, in just 5 years, give or take, I'm going to be able to get armories. So I just start building armories straight because these buildings disappear once you get rid of the theme system, government reform, and you will get rid of this at some point. And generally speaking, before armories, it's not really worth having an actual standing army. You can just rely on levies. They're fairly decent. Now we also have 75 religious influence, so we can call the Synod of 1384. Now we have a lot of options here, and every one of these options gives us different bonuses. We see here we can choose between stability, legitimacy, or prestige. For the second option, we can get clerical procedures for 10 years that gives clergy satisfaction or taxation, and that gives tax efficiency +5. My personal favorite is the administration one because you can go for the pious prosperity that increases monthly control and proximity cost to -5%. Or heck, if you want to convert more, you can go for this, and you also get cultural influence, allowing you to assimilate a little bit faster too. You can also get research progress. There is honestly a lot of things you can do with the Synod, so it's always a good idea to call it as soon as you have the religious influence for it. So I'm going to do exactly what I said. I'm going to go for the pious prosperity for me, which should increase my control all over the country. And the reason I'm focusing on the coastline here is not only because I want to get rid of the Ottomans, but I also will have an easier time increasing my control along the coastline once I reach full naval values. So right now we're not really close to it. We only have 25 naval. Now we also can have up to 18,000 levies because we've been increasing our control. We've been centralizing a lot more our country in essence, so we're doing a lot better than we did before. I really wish I had a standing army though, simply because I'm not able to fill up the garrison of fortifications that I capture with levies. I can only fill up those with the regular soldiers. So maybe it's not the worst idea having at least a single unit, which we can just use for that purpose alone, right? So we could say build up an Acritai unit in our capital and use them to refill the fort. We can call them Fortius Replenishicus. All right, we do have enough war score. I'm not going to push it for too long because I'm worried the Neapolitans might decide it's a good idea to attack us again. So I'm just going to do the this peace deal. We don't actually have any sort of a big coalition that we need to worry about. Again, most of them are the ones that we just attacked, so we have a truce with them. And we got the northern coastline with this one little exception here that we have to attack whenever we have the option, because now we have a connection to Trebizond. So we canceled the alliance with Trebizond. I tried to see if I could diplo-vassalize them. I'm not able to. What I'm going to do instead is I'm just going to attack them and take them out, or vassalize them after I attack them, just to make sure they survive, because they're kind of weak. I don't want them to, you know, get eaten up by anybody around them. Also, what the schnitzel? Kingdom of Georgia is massive. What? I just noticed this. Moldova, March of the Kingdom of okay. I really need to play as Moldova, because yeah, no, this is probably not working as desired. This is definitely a bug or something. I have no idea how they managed to get all of that. This has to be some, you know what I think when the Golden Horde collapsed, either they took advantage, or the event that's supposed to make them of March of Hungary might have added more nations to that, so they might have eaten up the other nations that sprang out of the Golden Horde. That could be the reason. That also kind of sucks for me, because I was going to expand it in the north, and now it's pretty much impossible, because this is still a subject of Hungary and they are very powerful. We finally reached the 1400s, a new century and a new Roman Empire. What do I mean by that? Well, you probably noticed we had a good 20 years gap in which we did zero expansion. I mean, we've literally not taken a single little bit of land for a couple of reasons. Obviously, I've been focusing on fixing my economy, improving my economy and everything. Second reason is there's a lot of hug boxes around. So Naples is impossible to attack right now because everyone's allied to them. Sicily might be easy. I just need to finish a couple of wars in the north. I'm going to attack the Serbians actually right now. We got a parliament approved casus belli on them. We got good relations though with them, so we're going to have to send them an insult before we attack them, just so we don't get 10 stability hit when we do that attack. We're also in the process of getting a casus belli on the Bulgarians again, because I didn't use the last time I got a casus belli on them. As for the Aydınids, they've completely consolidated Anatolia. Even the little Bafra here is now their subject, and they've divided Trebizond in half. So my next war against Aydınids will have to be the entire northern coastline, and if possible a little bit in the middle, so we can establish some Turkic Beylik of our own, which are going to be Orthodox and Greek, so technically not really Turkish. Now we do have some shortages right now in the Damascus market, namely we're missing some scriptoriums, so we're going to build a couple of these in Larnaca and Nicosia. Hey, look at that, we also got an extra 10 towards centralization. So if you go to our values, we now have 41 towards centralization, mostly from parliament issues that we've taken in other ways, because our cap is actually 7, but you can go over the cap from events and such, and the cap obviously also changes on whatever you have as privileges, legislation, and so on, which of course can also change, right? We don't have the same laws and privileges we had earlier on. Speaking of, we've revoked some more privileges from the Dinatoi, and now it only costs 56 stability to revoke a privilege, because they lost a lot of power because they lost those privileges. By contrast, the burghers is 41 and the clergy 39, with the agricoi 5. So we're doing a good job here. Crown power is at 31%, which means we get all of these amazing bonuses to our country, and because we haven't been expanding at all, we basically have no coalition now. Also, if we go to the maritime presence map mode, we've been working hard to get as much maritime presence as we can. We got 94, we got close to 100 in the bluish tiles. In essence, you want all your tiles to be super blue. We're working on it. We don't have enough ships. We technically should have about 120 ships, but I'm limited by my cap. I actually can build a couple more ships though, to be fair. Let's see, what are we up now? 80. So we can build an extra 20, which means we can have one more fleet. Problem is we don't have sailors, so every single ship we have uses monthly sailors, regardless of how he uses sailors monthly. Look at that, maintenance is 62 for our sailors, and we only have 35 right now. So we need to build some docks, but the problem is we don't have the advance for the docks. We need to actually research it first, so we're not able to field even 60 ships. We're literally over our ship capabilities right now from a sailor perspective. All right, time for the war. Skibbity boo, skibbity bay. Give me your lands now. 24,000 levies, a significant boost, because remember we got the maritime presence increased. That also means that our control has increased. Look at that. We have an average of 52 maximum control because of the proximity to capital, giving an extra 35, and that is 100% because of the reduced penalty of proximity through sea tiles from the increased maritime presence. presence. You literally can see the areas that have high maritime presence is 52, 50 something control, and the areas with low maritime presence 16, 3, 7. It's just, it is a massive difference having maritime presence. It literally is a game changer. Speaking of, though, we haven't managed to get too high up naval. If we were to get up to maximum naval, we would be absolutely super good. But yeah, we're gonna try our best. It's just right now we're basically getting it from events more than anything else, and we haven't gotten that many events for it. Did you guys see how massive the difference for cost of court is? Whenever we actually need to gain legitimacy, it costs us 100 ducats, and when we finish getting up to 100, it's just 34. So that's 3 times more expensive to gain legitimacy. You really do not want to lose it in this game. We also have not yet embraced certain institutions. We can embrace professional army. We can also embrace banking, because banking spread to 54% of our locations. It's 600 ducats and 30 stability, whilst professional army is about the same, 1% difference pretty much. The one we really want to have, though, is Renaissance. It's only spread to 3% of our population, which kind of sucks. We've been trying our best to import as many things from the Italian markets, because that's the best way to spread an institution. You basically go to your market, you make sure you have trades established with the Genoa, Venice, even Napoli, whichever one of the markets has Renaissance presence in it. Another reason why our control has also increased quite a lot is because of roads. So we've done our best to build as many roads as possible. They are extremely expensive, so we're not able to build all of them yet, but eventually the goal is to get a road in every single province, obviously. The thing with roads is that not only do they lower the proximity cost by a flat 20, which is a huge amount, but they also lower the market cost and increase the movement. So basically, it's good from every single perspective. And you also get institution growth, development growth, percentage, construction speed. You just want to have them as soon as you can. And my favorite part about roads is that once you build them, you actually see them on the map. Look at that. You see, you got the actual gravel road spreading around wherever it's present, and when you upgrade it, you see the upgraded version of this road too on the map, which is cool. Back to our buildings too, we finished getting all 139 markets. If we want to get more markets, we need to make more towns and cities. We have 5 cities right now and a bunch of towns around, but we need a lot more. It does cost a little bit, so in order to upgrade a province from rural to town, you go to this little icon here, click on it, and it's going to tell you that you have the option of upgrading this to a town if you want. It's going to cost, and the cost depends on the amount of availability of certain goods on the market. Lumber, we still have a lot, but not enough excess. I want to get more lumber excess, which is why I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to build again a lot more lumber, so we have a lot of extra lumber flowing in our market. We've also reached the last research that we can finish from the ones available, so in order to get more interesting advances, I'm going to actually embrace professional army. 24 stability, bye-bye. When you embrace institutions, you also get a bonus to monthly research progress, so if you can, obviously embrace all of them ahead of time, but in our case, we don't want to go below 0 stability, so we're going to wait until we get back up to 25 before we embrace banking. Also, the rise of the Aydınids has finished. Boom, shakalaka. They seem to have a little bit of a rebellion, so they technically failed to rise thanks to this guy. Guess you could call it Rise of the Byzantines, eh? Well, boys, the rebels in our country decided it's a high time they rebel, so I guess we're gonna have to make our peace with the Serbs. And let's also queue up professional army, as well as if we go to the advanced tree, we see exactly what we have available to us. We want to go down to get handgunners, hoofnis, so we have cannons and actual soldiers, and we also want to get armories to get the manpower to sustain those actual soldiers, and then obviously also men-at-arms, which is going to unlock the men-at-arms levies, so our units that we levy out are going to be significantly stronger afterwards. Coastal fort is also really good because it increases maritime presence. Plated knights, 10% of our valid pops will be plated knights when we raise levies. And as the Byzantines, we have the unique cabinet interaction of allowing extensive conscription. That means we get an extra 10% manpower and army reinforcement minus 20% from our cabinet actions if we want to, but we're not going to do that. We don't need it. Instead, we want to do recruit recruitment law too. That's 15 advances already queued up. That is more than enough for the time being. We're gonna cancel some of their treaties with whatever nations they have treaties with, just so we make sure they don't get any alliances. And look at this, exactly what I was saying earlier. I didn't build any of the theme headquarters because of this. Now we don't get the theme anymore. We lose the theme and we get the modern imperial army. This is really huge because this is a free government reform, and we get infantry power, which is infantry combat ability, and crown power plus 15%. Let's also build up some more gravel roads around the core area of our country. All right, we seem to have 100% war score against the rebellion, which means if we were to individually grab these provinces, remember what I said earlier, we're not going to be able to fully annex. Look at that, 187 war score. So we're going to cancel that. We're going to click this little button that says annexes the revolter state, which is only 70 war score to do that. So we can even grab some money from them too, and boom shakalaka, it's done. The entirety of the revolt has been fully annexed. Okay, here's something really interesting. Remember how we had banking spread to most of our country and now we don't anymore? That's because the rebellion did not count towards this. So because we had a lot of provinces that were outside of our country and they did not have banking spread to them, well, it was cheaper. Now it's more expensive because the rebellion is reintegrated into our country. So we should have accepted this back then. But hey, as they say, hindsight's 50/80, right? There you go. Modern army has been fully implemented, which means the theme system has disappeared. Once this gets fully implemented, that's what happens. We cannot build theme headquarters anymore. It also means we can afford another fourth government reform now, and there's a lot of really good ones here. So honestly, very tough decision. What I really want to go for actually is harbor administration, because this gives us proximity cost through port minus 5%, some increase in development, and monthly progress for naval. But we need to have 50 towards naval in order to get this. We don't have that yet. We actually have only 48. Oh, come on! Really? Really, game? Come on! So I guess until we can get that one, I'm not mad. You're mad. We're gonna go for autocracy, which increases our crown power by 10%. For now, we might change this later down the line. And it's time that we create our custom subject in Vardar. Again, we're gonna go with the vassal, not a fiefdom, and we're gonna assign an average individual to lead Vardar. Now, Vardar takes up the religion and the culture that is predominant in that province, which in our case is Bulgarian and Orthodox. And I'm gonna cede them some locations, Odessos, for example, as well as the entire state of Prilep and the little location in northern Albania. So now we got an actual strong Vardar that can defend our northern borders from the vile Slurbs. We also can spam a few wharfs. Wharfs basically give us 1 monthly sailor, a little bit of trade capacity and harbor capacity. It's not amazing, but I mean, it allows us to build more ships in that location. So I guess from that perspective, it's fine. Oh my God, the southern bit of Greece is completely Catholic. Oh, this is horrible. I'm gonna have to get rid of all of this. Let's actually take a big look at the world map right now. With the last patch, I've noticed that Removen does get removed. In previous patches, that never happened. They stayed removed until the end of the campaign, so I'm glad to see that they fixed that. It's a lot more historical now. Similarly, the Russians are a lot more willing to convert the various pagan religions than they were before. Seeing as we have 75 favors with the Trebizond, we can ask them to improve cultural opinion of us. What does that mean? It means that if we go over to our cultures and we hover over Pontic, the view of Pontic people towards us and vice versa is now a lot better, so we actually can tolerate them. And because we've got at least 2.5 Pontic people present in our country, we can also accept them. So having Pontic accepted means that we can raise Pontic levies just as if we were raising our own. It's actually really easy to tell what a culture's rank is from the little icon on the side here. This is the primary culture, this is an accepted culture, this is a tolerated culture, and this is a discriminated culture. So right now we only have one accepted, the Ponts, and that's it. We also are almost at our cultural capacity maximum, so we cannot accept anybody else. That's primarily because of the Turkish culture that we have as tolerated. It's because they really hate our guts. Also, it's time to get banking. The reason I'm also doing that is because we can now queue up docks. Docks is how we fix a lot of our situation, and after docks we can also do barks. Barks are what we really need because they have 0.14 maritime presence compared to the 0.08 that our current galleys have. So with the same amount of ships that we would have in barks, we would cover the entirety of the empire. It would be a lot cheaper and a lot more efficient too. That does mean we want to push for that a little bit, so we're going to cancel some of the previous researches, and we can queue these bad boys up later down the line after we got our docks established. This should be a good queue right here. So we need all of the initial ones for our army, and then all the way to Bark's 11th advance is pretty good. Also, our leader is not too bad, 61 admin, 50 diplo, 36 military, but we can increase that by having him join a military order. Joining the Hungarian military order gives us an extra 15 military ability, so he goes up to 53 military ability. This is really vital because your leader's abilities impact everything in your country. When you look at this, crown power, building costs, estate satisfaction, morale of armies, military cabinet actions, diplo and admin cabinet actions are also influenced by this, so it is really crucial that you get a really skilled leader. Gemistos Plethon. Historically, Gemistos was a scholar in the Byzantine Empire, born in Constantinople, who secretly admired the ancient gods and tried a little bit to revive ancient religions. Well, in our game at least, he might have a shot at it, and it really depends on a few things, including how tolerant we are towards heretics and heathens, which we're not very right now. So if we want to change that and we want to become Hellenic, Gemistos is our way towards Hellenism. Hey, look at that. We also have gunsmithing available now. Beautiful. So let's start and build a few gunsmiths. Obviously, we're going to start in our capital and our core areas. We want to have at least 5-6 gunsmiths because we're going to be recruiting a lot of soldiers once we've researched handgunners. We want to have an actual standing army. It's already 1410, so most nations in Europe have at least 3,000 to 4,000 standing soldiers, don't they? Look at that. The French have exactly 3,200, about the amount we need to have at this point. So we are in fact lacking behind a little bit from that perspective. We also start the campaign with Venetian quarters and Genoese quarters in our capital. Now we have the option of deleting the Galata and the Venetian quarters if we wanted to do so. These particular buildings don't really benefit us as much as they benefit the owners, namely Genoa and Venice. They basically give the owners trade capacity, maritime presence in our lands, and I don't really want them there. I know they're staples of Constantinople, but I'd rather own the lands myself and the buildings myself than have the Venetians and the Genoese profit off of us. I need to report this as a bug because it did not destroy the Venetian quarter in Galata, and I still took the penalty for it. Yeah, that's gonna be fixed by the time you play it. Don't worry about it. And we also just unlocked handgunning technology, and we can only do one because we just have 200 manpower. That's it. In order to get more manpower, we need to get the armory, which is gonna fix all of our manpower issues. We get 10 manpower per armory and the ability to recruit in whichever province has that building. Another super good building to have is the bridge. Bridges lower your proximity cost by 5%, and you can only build them in locations that have rivers flowing through them, as well as they need to also have a road. If we go to our road map right now, we only have a limited amount of roads, so wherever there's rivers that overlap with these roads, we can build our bridges on. Well, if it isn't our Hellenic buddy here, we will allow him to continue his work. Whatever that might be, nobody knows, clearly. Jokes aside, if we were to go Hellenistic, we would have significantly reduced expansion because just the conversion of what lands we have now would take us 50 to 60 years alone. That would be a massive, massive deal. I'm not sure if it's worth it because Hellenism also as a religion is not that great. Orthodoxy, by contrast, is a lot better. But it does make for some really nice thumbnails, doesn't it? It really feels the way that the game is right now, that if you get rid of the Ottomans as the Byzantines in the first few years, you end up technically being the Ottomans, because there is some flavor that you get in the 1500s as the Byzantines that does in fact make you a lot stronger. So it kind of feels like a failsafe from Paradox's side, where you still have a pretty big threat in the Balkan/Anatolian parts, which doesn't necessarily have to be the Ottomans. But that being said, if it's AI, I've never seen so far in this patch the Byzantines actually survive. The Ottomans almost always destroy the Byzantines, or somebody else does. This should be the last of the Eretnid remnants. I believe we've got enough warscore to enforce what we actually want now, and that is to convert the Eretnids to Orthodoxy. That's right, we can do that. That would really fix a lot of our issues, because right now the entirety of Eretna is super Sunni, so if they stay Orthodox even for a little while, it's likely that they're going to convert most of these lands to Orthodoxy, or at least some of the lands before they return to Sunni, right? When the truce is over. We're able to do this because we have a religious war CB on the Aydynids, otherwise we would not be able to enforce this. Keep that in mind. We're also going to grab the actual war target, and we're going to grab a couple of locations here. I kind of wanted to grab all of Chanik and get in the Trebizond, but the problem is it would be above the war score limit, so we got to take this. That's it. That's the only thing we can take. I feel this is a massive W, though. Converting Eretna to Orthodoxy is just amazing. It really is just amazing. I want to see how much of this gets converted in the meanwhile to Orthodoxy until the next word that we have with them. Finally, we got our army, so we can start spamming these bad boys everywhere. I've literally been waiting to get a professional army so I can attack the Western Europeans. I cannot grab Achaia, Athens, and Albania from Naples and Sicily without having actual professional soldiers. Now, boys, the Mamluks just attacked me. Honestly, I definitely could take them on. They mostly have levies right now, and about the same amount of levies that I've got. I've got 26,000, so I absolutely can take them on. However, this period right here between 1420 to 1450 is the vital period for me to consolidate what's left of Greece after I attack the Western nations and just build up my roads, build up my industry, build up my economy in essence. So I need to use this peacetime to consolidate and reinforce my nation. I don't have time for a war with the Mamluks because this war would likely drag on for a few years. I'm just gonna give up. It sucks saying that, but this is the best outcome. Now, there's a few things I can do here that they would accept, like war reparations and old treaties with this and that, but one thing works above everything else, and this I really hope gets patched. I have informed Paradox about it. They know it's kind of overpowered, but if you give them exception from sound toll, they will give you the peace deal, because this is literally one of the main reasons they attack. They want exception for sound toll. Boom, we got rid of them. What does that actually mean, exception from sound toll? The sound toll is basically the toll for the Bosphorus Strait this year, because we own the Strait of the Bosphorus. So because they have a lot of trade going north into Northern Europe, it has to mostly pass through us, and because of that, the sound toll is really important to them. Is it worth it though? 100% it is, because it allows us to focus on our country now. Is it gonna be the same when the game gets released? I hope not, because I'm going to push for this to be nerfed, because it is really powerful, but you never know. Maybe it's still going to be there. Let me know in the comment section actually if it's still there when you play it. I got really excited because Viatka asked me to have my leader as their country's leader, but then Viatka is literally what? I don't even see Viatka. How big is it? Why? I want to see it at least. We also are not getting the disaster trigger anymore because our leader is actually pretty good. If he had really bad skills like the idiot leader we had before his dad, then we might get the decline of the Byzantine Empire. One of the conditions that prevents the decline from happening is a decent stats leader. So that means that we revoked more privileges from the nobility, and we're going to continue to revoke more from everything. We want to have only good privileges, take out all the rotten stuff. We have unlocked the ancient techniques of the dockering, so finally we're going to have sailors again so we can expand our fleet. Next research is the bark, so dogs everywhere are going to be happy. This is turning into an insanely long video because I want to keep a lot of the information. This is 8 hours of recording already, and I don't know how long the video is going to be, but it's going to be pretty long. Now, if you want to see the second part for this video, you're going to find it in the description or the comment section. I'm going to post it at the same time as this one, so you can watch it instantly. The moment you finish watching this, go ahead and watch the other one in the comment section. It's actually going to come out the next day, but that's just for YouTube purposes, so it doesn't hurt the algorithm. And if you haven't grabbed EU5 yet and you think you want to get it, consider using my link. Would really appreciate it. I get a commission and it truly would mean the world to me. Thank you for considering it at least. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you want to see a lot more EU5 content. Love you, and I'll see you in the next one.